All right, I want you to role play with me for just a little bit, okay? Imagine you're this freaking buff jack dude in the gym. You go to the gym every day, but you don't even really go to work out. You just go to stare at the women all the time because you're a creep like that. Ugh. Ugh. And then you turn around. Ugh. Oh, you see the hottest gal that you've ever saw in your life, and she's like a Greek goddess. You've never saw another beautiful woman like that, and you say, "Shawty." But then she turns around, and then you see this. Oh my god! Ugh. What is that? What is that? These are the things you use to clip your chips shut. Because you don't want your Doritos to dry, but she done put it on her skin flaps. Oh, I mean, come on though, all right? That roleplay was perfect. That's exactly what this guy would say, right? You see, I'm not a creepy person. I know that sounded creepy in the beginning. Look, I've seen a lot of people react to this story, all right? I know, sure, everyone else has, but I wanted to react to it. And that's what we're here for. I'm gonna react to it. My story animated. Guys, don't forget to check them out down below. This is straight out of The Simpsons. I mean, I don't care, but they're obviously referencing The Simpsons episode. Let's see. It's one of my favorite memes, actually. How do you live your whole life without ever turning around? Who needs to actually work and lose weight when you can just put these zip tie things on your back fat, your flab? Like, what was this girl? Like 500 pounds and then she lost it all within like an hour somehow? I just gotta know the story.
My name is Amara and I am 17 years old. But I seem to be the only one who believes that. Don't get confused just yet.
You're the
I'll
only
tell you
one.
everything, and I'm sure you'll agree with me too. Before you do that, though, click subscribe and like this video.
Ooh,
I might
okay.
just appear in your dreams tonight if you don't.
Oh God, not if you look like that. Not if you look like with the freaking god-awful growth coming out of your back.
I remember that I
And you're 17. No, she's 30 years after 7. I'm a little confused. Whatever.
was 15 when my parents relocated to America from India. My dad was quite rich, so we lived in the richest neighborhood in the city, and I was attending the most expensive high school. My parents gave me and my little sister everything we wanted, but
I mean, these stories always start out with the rich girl. I feel like they always do. I was rich, but I got it all taken away. Really, I'm just like trying to make the connection. I can't.
my little sister got more because, well, she was my dad's favorite.
Oh, your little
I was
sister's a
3
piece of
years
crap.
older, but she was smarter. I envied her when she got all the praises, but I was more interested in partying and shopping with my friends. One time, I was at a party when I had an exam, and my dad called me and said, "If you don't do well in school, I'll not include you in my will." Let's just say I failed so bad that I had to change school.
What kind of do parents threaten that? That's essentially just being like thrown out of the family completely.
My new school was cooler than the first. There were hotter boys and sassier girls.
Of course.
If I didn't come from a rich home, I would have felt like a loser, but I got along just fine.
But I was
I didn't
rich.
tell you, I'm
But
a
I
great
was.
dancer, right? Well, I'm
Oh, hey,
such a
watch out.
badass that I became the captain
Woo!
of the cheerleading squad.
Watch out! Watch out! I always get so interested on how they're gonna make the jump from like she's in high school till where after 30 years she's still 17 somehow. Like,
I know I already said the boys at the school were super hot, but if there's a word
oh,
that can be
honey,
used to
you didn't
describe
say they were that hot. You should have said. You should have specified because those are some hot. I need to stop this. That's why everyone keeps asking if I'm gay.
already said the boys at the school were super hot, but if there's a word that can be used to describe someone who is way hotter, then you can insert it here for Greg.
Iridocyclitis.
Of course Greg's hot. Can you just call someone Greg? What is it, Danny Gonzalez?
What's up, Greg?
Captain of the basketball team. We started dating after he walked up to me one day.
Oh, she
and was
dated the
like,
hottest boy at
"Hey, I love your
school."
birthmark and I think you're really cute. Want to hang out sometime?" That was the beginning and end of that.
That was the line that gets every single girl every time. I like it. He says, and you know he says it whether they got a birthmark or not, you know? It's really just one of those things where he tries it until like, you know, because like you don't know, you know, usually birthmarks are hidden. But she's like, oh, how did you know? Oh my God.
Everything might have seemed perfect with me, but as an Indian, it was hard for me to pronounce some English words correctly. I once pronounced bicycle at my former
Your
school
English
as
sounds great in the
bicycle,
video.
and it made everyone laugh.
Wait, how did you
and
pronounce
make fun of
bicycle?
skull. Bicycle.
Hey, look at her. She's the one that said bicycle. What an idiot. I've already told the story, probably. I'm sure I have, but you know, once I was in the library in school. I think it was in like 7th grade. 6? I don't know. 6 or 7th grade. And the librarian called my name. They called roll call in the library. She called me Michael Jackson. What? She called me, no. She called me Michelle. Everyone laughed at me. And then they all called me Michelle. I just don't think they would do with bicycle. She never left it down. She never rode a bicycle again.
For about a week. I started taking special English classes, but to avoid embarrassment at my new school, I just stuck with words I was confident of pronouncing or pointing to things I wanted to talk about. At first, my friends thought I was weird, but they got used to it. But I was quite comfortable with Greg, so I didn't mind making those mistakes around him, as he seemed like he didn't care about it.
I really wish I had a man like him in my life.
Of time going to the movies, arcades, and live concerts. We were almost
Bro, this guy is built like a JoJo character. Look at that.
And live concerts. We were almost inseparable. In fact, you can't see me anywhere and not find him close by or something. We were the perfect couple, and everyone wanted their relationship to be like ours. Once, while we were hanging out, I told him I would like to live with him on a remote island and have twins with him. The thought of a life without Greg in it always made me cringe. Then
I don't know why it makes me I don't know why it's funny that his name's Greg. I don't know why. I like to live on an island with you, Greg.
Bicycle. Then a new girl showed up. Her name was Lucy, and she was very pretty. You can call it jealousy, but on her first day of school, everyone in class was like, "Ooh, she's so hot," and it made me uncomfortable. One day, she came up to me and said,
It made me uncomfortable because I just can't even deal with another pretty person being in school other than me. That just makes me uncomfortable. Oh, let's hope she doesn't have a birthmark.
"Hi, Amara. I heard you're the cheerleading captain.
Was she like petting her?
When can I come for tryouts?" I wanted to tell her that we weren't open to new intakes,
We're close.
but I saw a chance to make life a bit miserable for her.
Dude, did you see that face? That face is evil.
I took it. I gave her the hardest stunts, but she killed it.
She did
even
20
asked me
backflips
if
in a
that was
row.
all I've got. I was angry, but not as mad as when I heard the others in the changing room saying that she was better than I was. I was sitting with Greg one afternoon, and then she comes over and says, "Hi, Greg. I'm a huge fan of yours. Can I take a picture with you, please?"
A fan of yours? What does he do? Is he an actual JoJo character? Because, like, he's just a high school student. Is he part of the football He's the football captain? Does he have a TikTok? Is he famous on TikTok? Like, what is this?
Of course, Greg didn't say no. He even asked me to take the picture.
Oh,
she kept
third
holding
wheel.
on to him like he was her boyfriend. I couldn't take it anymore,
So
and I
awkward.
told her to get her hands off him. She started crying
Get
like I was the monster.
of my man! Get off of Greg!
Greg hugged her and apologized.
Oh, hugged
She
her?
made faces at me as he did, and that was when I realized that she was probably sent from hell to take everything.
I'm
from
getting
me.
mad.
Greg and I were
Greg.
supposed to see a movie
heck?
one evening, but he canceled and said he was having a family hangout.
He was having an affair. That's what Greg was having. Greg stands for good riddance. Everyone good.
I was bored and didn't want to stay home, so I asked my friends if we could hang out. But they said Lucy had already invited them for karaoke at a bar.
Lucy is out to get this girl.
I wanted to see why Lucy was so great, and I no longer was. I drove to the bar and noticed Greg's car was parked outside. I parked opposite the bar and called him, but he ignored all my calls. The next thing, he came out of the bar holding Lucy by the waist, and they were laughing like lovers. I got out, and when Greg saw me, he froze. I started walking towards them when a drunk driver knocked me into oncoming traffic.
Oh my
I got hit by
God!
a second car that kind of crushed my skull, and I became unconscious.
It kind of crushed my skull, you know? It was similar, but I just really don't want to get into it. But let's just say it kind of crushed my skull. But again, it's really complicated. It's not actually what happened.
That was what led me to my coma. I remember when I first woke up. I thought I had just woken up from a deep sleep, but I had all this medical stuff on my body and my family were excited. I asked how long I had been unconscious, and they told me 13 years.
13 years! Holy crap. That's a scary thing that could actually happen to anyone. It's just like, you know, but like a lot of people don't wake up from comas. That's scary. Also, this is the plot to Sword Art Online, except better.
I was already 30. I cried and tried to catch up with everyone. My little sister was done with college and had just landed
She's
a high-income
super successful.
job.
She's so successful that she's a giant now, and she now stands on top of buildings. That's pretty freaking cool. You'll never be as good as her.
Even in my condition, I still felt envious. The doctors were thrilled.
That's Greg!
Parents that they would let me go.
Greg's
and
the
they would run
doctor!
Some tests. But the next day, I could no longer speak, and I slipped back into a coma and never woke up again.
What?
Until now, 20 years later.
Oh my god! Dude, you thought like 13 years was like a big deal. You thought, oh, I took a nap and then I woke up 30 years later. I woke up to aliens. Oh, this is actually more interesting than Sword Art Online to me. I'm gonna be honest.
Did you know that someone can wake up from a coma for a day or two and then go back? Now you know.
I
You're
didn't.
welcome. So, how did I wake up again?
I
Everyone,
literally didn't know.
including the doctors, was about to give up on me because they felt I would never wake up again.
I mean, some of her
Then
family
my
gotta be
sister
dead by this
remembered
point.
I loved listening to music, so she got me some headphones and put them on me. I don't remember much about my coma, but I heard a familiar song playing and I followed the sound.
Hey, you get down the fiddle and you get down the bow.
Amazingly, I opened my eyes. The doctor said my brain rewired itself over the years till the connections were enough for me to wake up. But my sister still believes music woke me up.
It's the
Did
power
you
of
also
music.
know that people waking up from a coma and speaking a foreign language fluently is an actual thing? Yeah, it's called bilingual aphasia. It happens when one area of the brain that knows a language is damaged, and meanwhile, another area remains untouched.
That is like the coolest thing to me. That would be the only thing that I wish if I ever, unfortunately, ever had to go to a coma, go to the coma, like make it sound like it's just something you randomly do. Yeah, let's go to the coma. Like, no. If it ever did happen to me, I hope the one thing that does come out of it is I come out speaking fluent Japanese, because that crap is difficult, okay? I hope I just like wake up. Yokozo, minasan. Just like immediately. Oh.
I could hardly speak my native language, and when my sister kept talking to me in our language, I couldn't respond. I spoke to her in English, and I was shocked at how fluent I was. I tried pronouncing the words I used to find difficult, and it was so easy.
What does she
My
speak?
parents weren't
I missed
there,
it.
and when I
Italian?
asked, I found out they had died 5 years back.
Aw.
My dad had left me a lot of money, but
Oh, but wait. Oh, so you were in the will then? Did he really keep you out? That's what I
most
wanted
of
to
it
know.
had gone into my hospital care. My sister was married and
Aw.
had 2 grown kids. She looked way older than I remembered her, and I even mistook her for one of the nurses when I first woke up.
Oh,
At that moment,
messed up.
I felt so bad for envying and resenting her over the years, because she ended up being the only one who stuck by me through the years. I was discharged from the hospital after a few weeks and placed under therapeutic care at home. So I went home, and the first thing I did was to look in the mirror. I almost jumped out of my skin when I saw my reflection. This isn't me. Tell me it's not true, I said. I had the body of a 47-year-old, but my thoughts were just like when I was 17. Well, I told my therapist about it, and she called it post-coma. I didn't believe her until I showed up at my niece's 16th birthday party and tried to do cool stuff. Her friends seemed impressed and gathered around me to ask me how I could act and talk like I was 17.
But like, you being 17 like 30 years later, would it be the same as being 17 now? Like what kind of apps do they got now? The apps are probably just implanted in your eye at this point. There's no such thing as phones anymore. You just
TikTok has been downloaded to my brain.
But back then she probably didn't even have AOL Messenger. Like, I don't know. Like, the memes in this time are no longer going to make sense to anyone at this time.
They found me quite interesting. Everything had changed from what I used to remember. First, my favorite band was no longer together, and they
Canceled.
were much older. There was
So My
nothing
Chemical
like a
Romance.
Walkman
But they're
or
back
a
together
Game Boy
now.
anymore.
Oh, does she know that? They're back together now.
They were all replaced with some things my sister calls iPods and PlayStations.
Oh!
Everything was different, and
So she's back to our time. Oh my God. Wait till they explain Belle Delphine to her.
it was a lot to take in at once. I once asked my sister's teenage daughter if I could use Netscape Navigator on her phone, and she
Netscape
laughed
what?
after telling me she didn't know what that was. She was kind enough to show me how to use the
Netscape
current browsers
Navigator?
today and the popular social media platforms too.
Netscape Navigator. Let's Google that. It was the dominant web browser in the 1990s. She's like in black and white still. Can I see the Netscape Navigator, please?
Then one day, I saw my niece watching something on her phone and I was interested. It was a video about a girl in a coma on My Story Animated channel. I got so interested in the channel that my niece jokingly said, maybe you should send your story to them too. I bought the idea and contacted them immediately. They were thrilled to hear my story.
Oh my god, this is proof that they're true! Wow, My Story Anime just confirmed that their stories are true stories. In case you were ever wondering, this is proof. Oh my god. I feel so bad for making fun of her now.
Plus, here's a secret. I'm afraid that I could wake up tomorrow and not even remember who I am anymore. So this story you were watching is like my open diary too. I was curious about how Greg must have turned
What about
out,
Greg?
but my
He looked
sister
like the doctor.
didn't have much to tell me. She just said that he stopped visiting me at the hospital after a year. I was mad that despite being the cause of my coma, he could only visit for a year out of 30. After stalking him on Instagram for a while, I found out where he worked, and I decided
where he
to visit
lived?
him. When I arrived at his office,
She got on that Netscape navigator.
I wasn't let in because I didn't have an appointment, and I didn't want him to know it was me. So I hung around for a bit for when he would be going out for lunch, and I followed him. But when I approached him, he wasn't Greg, it was someone else. I was stalking someone else on Instagram all this time.
What, you idiot.
After looking for him for weeks, one day my sister said, I found Greg, but promise me you won't do anything stupid.
He's
I
dead.
gave her my word, and she told me I could find him at a coffee shop that he visited every morning. I went to the coffee shop the
does she
next
know
morning,
that?
and I had to keep checking the picture she showed me to make sure I didn't miss him. When he saw me, he didn't recognize me at first.
Dude, he aged
until
like
he saw
fine wine.
the birthmark on my cheek. It was like he just saw a zombie. We sat down to talk for a little while, and I asked him why he cheated on me and didn't even come to see me at the hospital
She
again.
needs the
He was
closure.
shocked I was still holding on to that
Oh,
memory
God.
after so many years.
He still looks like an anime character, though. Nani?
But he apologized and asked us to meet again the next day. The next day, Greg didn't come around. And it was like that for weeks.
Oh, wow.
It was then I knew he had
Seriously?
stopped coming to the coffee shop because of me. It hurts. My sister told me to let go since he already apologized, but I wasn't going to end 30 years of a coma with just, I'm sorry, from the guy who caused it. But no one was
Seriously.
willing to give me any information.
She needs the
Not even the
revenge.
coffee shop where he had been going for years. I gradually slipped into depression because, although he had matured and was older than what I could remember, my 17-year-old mind was still in love with him. My sister had to sign me up for personal counseling, as I was always sad. Personal counseling helped, and I became stable again. I wanted a job, but I needed a diploma for that. Going back to school at my age was the last thing on my mind. I couldn't imagine being in the same class with students half my age and being older than most of my teachers. But I decided to go for it anyway. On my first day in class, some of my classmates thought I was their new instructor, but when they saw I wasn't, they didn't make a fuss of it like I thought. In fact, some of them started calling me their surrogate mom away from home. It feels weird to be referred to as an elder when you know you aren't, but I wasn't going to ruin anything and tell them, hey guys, I'm actually 17. I just have this old body. You won't understand. If there's anything I can't...
And that's when she went to the grocery store and got those clips, and then she put it on her back, and it made her face do that. Everyone thought she was so cool.
stand, it's being called crazy. I was already getting over my obsession with Greg.
Also,
when
there's adult school. I'm just saying.
I was at a coffee shop and I saw someone who looked like him. He was laughing with a pretty woman, and it looked like they
Does
had
she have a
thing.
birthmark?
He kept touching her hair.
You know
and
he
it
used the
felt
line.
Like when I had caught him with Lucy. I didn't want to go over and embarrass myself like the last time, but the resemblance was too striking. I walked over to him and touched his shoulder. When he turned to look at me, it was him.
Ooh.
His look of surprise quickly dissolved into a frown, and he asked if I had been stalking him. I was about to respond when I noticed the ring on his finger. I wondered
Oh,
why
he's
I didn't
married.
the last time we met. Now, I know he could have moved on, but I was mad that he was so comfortable to settle down after abandoning me at the hospital. I called him a monster and left after giving his date a hateful look. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Facebook is like the easiest place to find someone. At least that's what one of my classmates told me, and it worked. I found Greg's profile.
It works so much better than Netscape Navigator, and I thought that was amazing. Wait, I want to see Greg's Facebook post. His really deep Facebook post. Here we go. So he lives in America in a relationship. The two most important days in your life are the day you were born and the day you find out why. by Mark Twain. Oh my god, he's so deep. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. He's putting this deep stuff because he deep down inside feels bad for what he did. At this point, I don't even blame her for stalking him. She should go in there like freaking Angelina Jolie from that one movie and start like just hitting everyone in the face.
Post with one agenda.
That's what she should
find
do,
out
to get
more about the woman
revenge.
he was with, because I thought she was his wife. But I wasn't
I like
only
the meme
shocked to find
reference
out that
there.
he was cheating when I saw him. I found out he was married to Lucy.
Ooh,
The shock
Lucy!
turned into rage when I saw they had 2 teenage boys and they looked perfect. That should have been me. I
Oh.
found Lucy's page too, and I had to stop myself from commenting nasty things all over her pictures.
I can't even
30
blame her.
years later, and I still want revenge. I remembered the lady at the coffee shop, and an idea struck. I thought it was going to be difficult because I thought Greg wouldn't come to the coffee shop again, but fate was on my side.
It was really easy to poison his coffee. It was so easy. I just got a job there. It was great.
I didn't see him there for a few more weeks, but he came around. With the
Hey, that's
same
Greg right
woman.
there.
I
Everyone's
held up
Greg.
a menu so he wouldn't notice me, and I took a video recording while they were French kissing. It was the perfect
Oh, so he was
moment.
cheating.
I didn't open my Facebook
actually
account
was
with
cheating.
my real name or pictures, so I was quick to
It was-
upload the video, and I tagged Lucy.
It was the
and
perfect
Greg.
plan.
I captioned the post as "A cheater never changes" at Greg, and what goes around comes around at Lucy. The post had hundreds of views and comments, including hateful, sad ones from Lucy and Greg. I finally got my revenge.
Oh, okay. Today's script of the day goes to the known anonymous. Don't forget to check out my story animated. I gotta say, like, their storytelling is getting a lot better, and like that story actually made me feel the feels. But I really wish, like, why can't they just make it as silly as it is? I wanted to see this girl get her fat and wad it up and put. I really wanted to see that. Like, I'm just saying. I don't know why not. Subscribe for more of these animation reactions, and I'll see you scrubs in the next one. Bye, guys.